Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today you are watching part 1 of my 4-part series on how your gig economy money works in a gig economy world. So some of the rules are changing as we speak, and I want to make sure you get out of that paycheck to paycheck grind and make sure the gig economy works for you financially, both short term and long term. So today we're going to be talking about banking. It's the #1 part of my 4-part series. If you've already seen this, the playlist and links to the other videos will be down in the description. So yeah, here we go. First off, if it's your first time here, welcome, and go ahead and subscribe down below. And don't forget to hit the stupid YouTube bell icon so you can get notified when I upload a video or go live. And if you're returning, welcome back. I love having returning video watchers. Go ahead and hit thumbs up and leave a comment below for what bank you use to keep your gig economy money in. Now, every Monday I do a video just like this for drivers just like you. And I do that every Monday. Every Wednesday for new drivers, I have an Ask Me Anything live stream. That's at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you can log in and ask me any of your new questions that you want to. I also give new tips to drivers. Lastly, every Friday and Saturday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I have a live in-car driver stream. So you can come hang out with me as I'm driving around doing my rideshare thing and talk to other drivers and customers who are interested in rideshare just like you. So I actually did a live stream about this stuff, guys, and I was really worried about whether or not it would get received well, and that is because it's not necessarily rideshare specific for drivers, meaning I'm not giving you tips or tricks on how to maximize your earnings. Rather, I'm telling you how you should take that money once you earn it and invest it in other places and safe keep it in other places. But the comments and the emails I received and the general feeling for the video was that everyone really liked it, and they asked me to go more in detail. So based upon your request, I have started to do this 4-part series. And today we're going to talk about the most exciting thing in the entire world, banks. Guys, I don't know how to make banking exciting, so just stick with me. I'm going to do the best I can. Maybe if I smile more, you'll listen longer. Have you ever asked yourself why you use a bank? I mean, is it because your dad did? You think your grandparents did? It's just easier to use Google Pay and Apple Pay if you have a bank account. Having a card is easier than having cash. And why do you have a bank? Well, the reason you have a bank is because it's easier and safer than carrying cash. I mean, the way we used to do things was like under your mattress, you just keep all of your life savings. And every once in a while you'll hear an article here or there about someone passing away and like under their mattress is just like 60 grand in cash, right? Why don't we carry cash anymore other than safety reasons? And the answer is inflation, okay? That's why people started putting their money in a bank. So for those of you who don't know, inflation is around 2%. It varies year to year, and that means everything is more expensive. Gas is more expensive, clothes are more expensive, your car is more expensive, rent is more expensive, fruit, vegetables, milk, bread, these things all go up in price, and that is called inflation, okay? Which means year to year, $1 worth of money is actually worth 98 cents after 1 year. And you can see over a long period of time, if your money degrades slowly 2% at a time, your spending power is less and less, and you become poorer and poorer. And this is one of the main reasons why rich people stay rich and poor people stay poor. And that is over time, rich people's money gains money in value, meaning if they have $1 after 1 year, that dollar is now worth $1.05. But you, who have just like a cash in your pocket and no investments, your dollar is now worth 98 cents. So that's where that disconnect is in our financial society. So one answer to this problem became banks. If you put your money in a bank, what the bank would do is they would take that money and they would invest that money in the stock market. Or another way of saying that is they would take your money and gamble with it. And in exchange for your finances, they would give you a small percentage, right? Like 1 or 2% interest on your checking and your savings. Actually, savings tend to be a little bit more than checking, but not always. But the idea being, if you give your money to the bank, they'll invest it, make money off it, and in return give you a small portion. So the bank might make 10%, 5%, 6% off of your cash and then pay you 2%. So you wouldn't lose money in inflation, but the bank is also making money. Well, those of you who have a checking account now know that those rules no longer apply. I guarantee that you do not make 2% on your checking unless you have some old school contract with the bank that you signed way back in the 80s or 90s, right? Most checking accounts today have 0 or less than 1% interest on them. So the banks are still taking your money, the banks are still investing your money, and the banks are still gambling with your money. They just aren't giving you any more of the profit. They've learned that people have become so complacent with banking that they can make untold gazillions of dollars without paying their customers any money. And in a lot of ways, they charge you for having their money. So a lot of banks will say if you have less than $5,000, less than $1,000, whatever the cutoff is, that you get charged $5 a month. So the bank is charging you $5 a month to hold your money. In addition to that, you have things like fees and service things. If you want to write a check, it's going to be this much money. There's all these hidden fees around banking, and they've used your money against you. And because that's just commonplace, we all have banks now. No one has just cash and cash and cash, that it becomes commonplace for them to steal from you. And yes, I said steal. When Bank of America charges you to hold your own money, they're stealing from you because they're taking like 96 cents on the dollar that you deposit, and they're gambling with it in the stock market. In fact, when there was the financial crisis that happened and all these banks were going under because they lost all their money in gambling, what happened? Societally, together we combined our money and we socialized those banks' losses and paid for them losing gambling, okay? Which is an insane thing to do. They did it so the economy wouldn't crash. I understand that. But it incentivizes banks to take your money and gamble with it, because if they ever lose, like they did in the market crash that happened in 2007, we just, as a society, bail them out. So it's a win-win for them. It's like going to the casino in Las Vegas and someone saying, here's $100. If you lose it, that's okay. The casino's gonna pay you back the $100 that you lost, and if you win, you can keep all the winnings. I just need my $100 back at the end of the night. So you have no incentive as a gambler to do anything smart with that money except for put it all on 32 Black, which, by the way, is the smartest and best way to gamble in roulette. What was that? I'm not allowed to tell you how to gamble doing roulette, but I'm just saying in this hypothetical idea, 32 Black is my number if you ever see me in the casino. So what do? Now, before we go any further, I will say there are lots of different kinds of banks out there. So there's like big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, etc. And I'm telling you guys, just get away from that. It's a bad place to put your money. Now, there are lots of local community banks out there, so that's fine if you want to use one of those and they have more fair rules. But what I'm going to talk about today is a product called Aspiration. It's an Aspiration Bank. It's banking for basically 2017 going forward. You can call it a millennial bank, a revolutionary bank, a new kind of bank, an online bank, whatever you want to call it. But this is my personal favorite bank, and we'll get into why in a second. Now, when I announced this on my live stream earlier, a lot of people said, well, I like my bank. It's a community bank. That's fine, man. If you want to use one of these smaller credit unions or whatever, and you're getting benefit out of it, by all means do that. But this video is mainly for most people who have their money in a big bank. If you have Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Chase or a bank like that, you're just wasting, you're not getting anything from that. They're not providing you any service, they're stealing your money. Okay, and before I go any further, I want to say I'm not making financially any money on this. So if you use my promotion code down below in the description and you sign up for Aspiration Bank, I don't get any money. So I'm not trying to make money off you on this scenario. But what happens is even better than that. So I get $25 to donate and you get $25 to donate. And when you sign up using my promotion code, Aspiration Bank will basically donate $50 to a charity of your choice or my choice, right? And it's $25 each. So I think that's fantastic. Right now, let me ask you a question. Do you think if you sign up with Bank of America or Wells Fargo that they'll donate $25 to charity in your name and my name? No, they're not going to do that. That's the kind of bank Aspiration is. So now I'm going to go into some more details about why Aspiration Bank is the bank of the future and why all gig economy workers, especially millennials, should start putting their money in banks like Aspiration, okay? The first is they donate 10% of all of their profits to charity. And you can follow this on their actual website. So that tells you every time they make money, who they donate to, all that kind of stuff. It's fabulous. I'm telling you right now, okay, Wells Fargo is not going to donate 10% of its earnings every year to charity. But Aspiration, that is their goal. It's a millennial bank. For those of you who don't know, millennials as a generation donate more as a percentage based on their income and as a total amount to charity than any other generation, right? So if you're under 30, you're much more likely to donate to charity. It's just part of the culture of the upcoming millennials. We like to talk smack about millennials. We say a lot of bad things about millennials, but one thing that they do fabulously is they give to charity. And Aspiration Bank is a millennial bank that does that. So they're giving away 10 cents on every profitable dollar to charity. If you sign up now, I get $25 to donate, you get $25 to donate, and they'll do that in our name. It's fabulous. Number 2 is there's no minimum fee, okay? And they'll never charge you an ATM fee. So what that means is if you're dropping below that threshold that you have in your bank where they charge you $5, $10, or $25, then that means you're gonna lose that every month until you get that back up there. And let me tell you, when you're paying those bills week to week on that Uber money or that Lyft money, it can be hard sometimes because your bank account may drop if an unexpected cost comes. So don't let the bank charge you for that. Aspiration's never going to do it. Now up here I'll post a picture of some of the other specific things that they do which are fabulous, which will save you money long term. But the most important thing they'll do is they guarantee you 1% interest. So I know it's not that 2% that we're looking at, but if you compare that to the market, especially in like a Chase Bank, for example, that blows away the competition. Chase Bank, when I was banking there, this was 4 or 5 years ago, so it might have changed. I was making 1/4% interest on my checking account, which is basically like saying $0. You get 1% with Aspiration. Now it's not the most money you can make. Obviously there are other places you can put it, but for your earnings that you grind out there every day for 12, 14 hours at the airport, or you grind out on the weekend, giving up time with your family and friends to do bar time or whatever, put it in Aspiration, get 1% on that interest, don't lose out on it, right? And then also if you're gonna take money out, if you're gonna take cash out of the ATM, don't let your bank charge you for that if you use an out-of-market account. That's terrible. Just stick with Aspiration and they won't charge you for that, okay? So beyond that, what are some of the other features that they have? They also offer, like every bank does, options for long-term investing. Now I'll get more to this specifically in the further along we get to investing, but basically you need 3 kinds of money. You need liquid money that you can use right now, and that is to buy groceries, pay your bills, pay your car payment, etc., etc. You need to have some kind of savings. The general rule is you need to have up to 3 months of your bills covered, meaning if you get in a car accident, something happens, you lose your job, you get deactivated from Uber or Lyft for a ticket or whatever it is, you want to have 3 months of savings so that way you have a transitional backup. Because right now if you lose your money, you can't pay your rent, you can't pay your car payment, you can't pay your cell phone, so you want to have up to 3 months in some kind of savings. The last thing you want to have is retirement savings, okay? And that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit now. We'll get more into this about later on in this series in part 3 and 4 about some great retirement savings plans for gig economy workers. But Aspiration, what it does is it makes investing a little bit easier. So if you want to do an IRA, for example, they have some different kinds of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds you can invest in, and it's like a pre-packaged thing. Some of them are labeled different types. They have a flagship thing, which is just make money. They have an environmental mutual fund, so if you want to invest in green energy long term, you can do that. But they make it really easy, and here's the best thing about it. They ask you what you think you should pay for it. So if you go to a traditional bank and you use their Roth IRA or their IRA services for long-term investments, they're going to charge you a fee, and it's a percentage fee, and it's a non-negotiable fee. And this goes for everything, no matter what commercial you see on TV, you know, like all these different investment firms, they all charge you a fee, and it's a non-negotiable. They do this on an optional basis. So you can give them $0 if you want to, or you can tip them $1 a month, and that goes for both your checking and for your investments. But if you're doing long-term investments, they ask you to pay what you think is fair for your mutual fund investing, which is kind of revolutionary and it confuses people. So let me back up and explain that. That's another millennial craze right now, which is pay what you can. It's kind of an honor system payment, and there are a lot of coffee shops and restaurants that don't have prices on their products. It just says pay what you're willing to pay. So if you are a richer person, for example, and you have lots of money, you can give $20 for 1 cup of coffee. And so rich millennials a lot of times will do this. They'll go to the coffee shop, get their coffee, and leave $20 for a cup of coffee. That's way more than the market value for that coffee. The idea being is maybe a student or someone who just lost their job who needs a cup of coffee before their job interview can come in, or even if they're homeless, they don't have any money, they can get a cup of coffee and leave a couple of cents, but then the store isn't out of money because overall they're still making a profit because you pay what you think the product is worth. So if you like their coffee, you're not going to give them $0 because then they're going to go out of business and you're only going to have Starbucks left on the corner. So you'll pay a fair market price for the coffee based upon what you can at the moment. And if you're in between checks and your paycheck hasn't hit the bank yet, you don't have any cash, but you still need the coffee, you can go to the store and get the coffee for free if you want to, because that day you can't afford it. And then when you get paid and you come back next week, then you leave twice as much. So it's like a weird concept for a lot of people who may be older or aren't used to that kind of economic system. But for 30 and under, it's a pretty common thing where you pay where you want to. Well, they've taken that concept and they've put it into the mutual fund world. So yes, you can have your Roth IRA or your IRA at a lower percentage than you're currently getting with your broker because you choose what percentage you want to make. And I think that that is alone one of the most powerful things about Aspiration, regardless if you forget about all the other stuff I just told you about how they guarantee 1% interest, how they give to charity, all that other stuff. What that means is long term you're going to have more money in your pocket because these other banks aren't going to have such a high cut of your overall profit in your long-term investing. Anyway guys, this is the end of that. Like I said, go ahead and use my referral code down below. I'd really appreciate that. I'm trying to get a lot of signups on Aspiration so we can get a lot of donation money. I don't benefit from it, but I think that's really great that we can get some money going to charity that the bank is going to pay for. It just makes the world better for everybody. Also, I'll go ahead and leave a link to part 2 and 3 down there once they get uploaded. Watch those video guys, and I hope to see you on Friday and Saturday in my live streams at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Deuces. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit subscribe. There'll be a circle icon in the middle of the screen for you to do that. Afterwards, hit the YouTube bell icon so you can get notifications when I upload anything to YouTube or go live. And if you want to watch 2 more videos, there should be 2 on the screen right down below. Lastly, if you enjoy this channel and you'd like to support it, consider becoming a Patreon. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you soon.